So we're going to move on now. So Rona Duwe is from Germany. She is a late adopter in feminism, but burning for it. She's a graphic designer, poet, author, blogger, activist, does web projects against violence against women, single mothers, history of patriarchy, and she's a fellow woman of Lassen, Frauen, Sprechen, Germany. And she's going to talk about the progress of male sexual rights movement in Germany. So thank you so much, Rona, for coming on. And over to you.
I want to talk about the German government using Holocaust Remembrance Day for queer propaganda, which is a new peak in Germany, and about companies influencing sexual education in German schools. I will see if I can talk about the second subject because the first one is a bit long. So we can say that no debate is over in Germany. This was a success of some women who fought against self-ID in Germany for almost 3 years now and were able to mobilize more and more women every day. Red Femme Berlin did the biggest feminist demonstration yet with Sheila Jeffreys in 2022 and other international feminists in Berlin, and is going on with demonstrating every month. Lass Frauen sprechen, Geschlecht zählt, and other groups are constantly writing letters and statements and publish info material. LFS organizes actions and demonstrations. Next one on the 4th of March in Munich. And a big secret feminist conference was held in Berlin at the end of last year with experienced feminists of the second wave, and also prominent feminists like Julia Long, prominent international feminists who supported us. And we have a growing number of women opposing gender identity ideology who have appearances in media and press. So as resistance of women is getting stronger every day, our queer officer, Sven Lehmann, has to strengthen efforts. A side note that Lehmann has a budget of 70 million euro to promote the acceptance of queer lifestyle, which has culminated in an action plan, Queer Living, of the German government. Eva Engelken talked about it last week. This action plan has the whole queer program in it. For example, change of family and parentage laws, reproductive rights, stealth surrogacy, forcing gender identity ideology on children via education, criminalize parents who oppose transitioning of their children, and so on. Last Frauen sprechen and WDI Germany wrote and published extended feminist statements against this action plan, adding a special issue concerning lesbian mothers because lesbians protested our statement. We also applied to take part on the consultation with lobby groups, which is part of this action plan, but we would think they will surely reject us. So we observe that they spread their efforts now as no debate around German self-ID hasn't really worked. They somehow reduce self-ID demands or lie about it and strengthen other proposed regulations and legislations. And they use defamation campaigns against TERFs in German public media, for example, calling them turds, load of shit, in a late-night program. And this late-night program normally criticizes the politics in Germany. But in this program, they made propaganda for the German gender identity politics. And so our family and women's minister and our queer officer were very happy about it. And our women's minister called us reactionary and inhuman persons who objected. So you see, the woman hatred is getting stronger every day and is supported by the German government. Then they installed denunciation offices. They call it reporting offices for anti-feminism. One of them at the Amadeo Antonio Foundation, which was founded for anti-Semitism. And anti-feminism means for them stickering against gender identity ideology, informing about the trans lobby, talking about the mutilation and abuse of children. In conclusion, opposing queer propaganda and fighting prostitution. So you see it on this banner. This is a sex work banner. And so we expect that radical feminists and gender-critical women will be denunciated en masse by trans activists as they love to attack us and block us on social media and so on. One woman said, there is a new Stasi being installed in Germany. So I make a throwback on summer 2022, where the German trans lobby started the initiative Trans Media Watch to control German media. This came shortly after feminist and gender-critical voices started to reach the point of really being heard via big media outlets. For example, a group of scientists criticized the public broadcasting in Germany, spreading gender identity ideology and false information about human biology. And these scientists focused especially on indoctrination towards children in children's and teens programs. And so these trans lobby guys said increasingly media articles are published that talk about trans as a trend, about supposedly unsafe women's spaces, about so-called trans ideology, or about girls who don't want to be girls. So to say it clear, they aim to hinder freedom of press and critical media coverage of gender identity ideology or hearing the voices of feminists in the heart of Germany. The second action this Trans Media Watch was doing was attacking feminists. Shortly afterwards, they focused on a defamation campaign against young PhD of biology, Marie-Louise Vollbrecht, who already talked here in WDI Feminist Question Time. German media and German trans lobby started a big harassment campaign against her, which has lasted until this day. Marie-Louise was framed as head of a group of aggressive right-wing TERFs who attack a trans academic and his family violently, which is not proved till now. And in a Twitter discussion, they declared that she denies NS crimes as she opposed the statement that trans people were victims of Holocaust. Trans Media Watch spread a hashtag then defaming Marie-Louise as a denier of Nazi crimes. She sued them then as sued the trans lobby group, DGTI, and won the first case. Imagine that the DGTI took her to court and again on 9th of November, which is Reichskristallnacht, and won. So they are allowed now to call her a denier of Nazi crimes. And Marie-Louise will now go to appeal again as German media doesn't stop to harass her and damage her reputation, calling her not only denier of Nazi crimes, but denier of Holocaust. The hashtag is still used by trans activists on demonstrations and spread by German politicians and media TRAs. As you see, Georgine Kellermann is head of public broadcaster WDR in Essen, and Andrea Peuler-Campe is one of the queer Greens. So then was Holocaust Remembrance Day this year, and in Germany, Holocaust Remembrance Day on the 27th of January is called Remembrance of the Victims of Nazi Crimes. Every year, Germany focuses on a special victim group of Nazi crimes. This year, they commemorated the queer victims of Nazi crimes. There was a discussion beforehand as some people emphasized that most of the victims were homosexual males and that queer is a term that wasn't known. As we know, trans activists love to use the term genocide or Nazi crime if they are confronted with the reality of being a man by feminists or with a simple no by women. So German government gave a big gift to all these activists, framing the homosexual victims of Nazi crimes as queer on International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Especially our anti-discrimination officer let that sink in. Ferda Attermann made a really big gift. She published a press release on 26th of January in which she forgot to mention the mass murder of Jews. Instead, she promoted to change the German constitution as homosexuals are the last victim group of Nazi crimes who are not protected by German constitution. But she doesn't demand protecting sexual orientation, but sexual identity. So this can mean anything from homosexual to pedophile or paraphilias. The Greens and pedophiles in Germany have already tried to protect sexual identity in constitution in 2010, but failed. Now they try again and have the argument to protect a group that was persecuted by Nazis. The reverse conclusion, everybody opposing gender identity legislation is a denier of Nazi crimes now, certified by German government. Also during the memorial in German Bundestag, they used queer propaganda vocabulary. You can imagine how the shitstorm was flaming as I wrote a Substack article against this horrific development in Germany. Especially homosexual males were very aggressive. For example, a gay sadomaster who doxed me, and Mr. Georgine Kellerman again, who told that it was a lie what I was saying. And yesterday I was locked out of Twitter because I confronted the CEO of Christopher Street Day Germany with pedos on Pride Cologne and a banner of TERFs can suck my huge trans dicks on CSD Dresden 2022. So since Holocaust Remembrance Day, this guy has a crush on me, attacking me as a bitter woman doing podcasts with dogged lesbians. So I think I'm very close to a reality he wants to hide, and he blocked me today on the account of Christopher Street Day Germany. So, and you can see above here, they say, this woman would have been a good supervisor, would have been a good supervisor back then in the Nazi times without batting an eye. All those who did not conform to her heteronormative world would have been put in the gas chamber. Or they call me a feminazi or a fascist and so on. So as expected, during the following week, news were released that 5 conservative politicians of CDU, which is the Conservative Party in Germany, support the change of the constitution. Reason, they tell, the last group of people who were persecuted by Nazis, homosexuals, shall finally get protected by law via sexual identity. CDU had already opposed this legislation 2010. Several legal specialists and feminists stressed that sexual identity is a totally unclear term and could be used to protect paraphilias and pedocriminals. They already convinced 5 conservative politicians, some of them very well known in Germany, and they will need 36 CDU politicians to enforce the amendment. So we are fighting against this, writing letters and talking to them. We are also observing that the pedo activists in Germany are strengthening their efforts. They demonstrated on Pride March in Cologne 2022, while lesbians were violently attacked on the Dyke March. A growing number of people on social media seem to think that the strong drive to abuse a child is an unfortunate innate disposition or even sexual orientation. And they also fight for the change of the constitution to get sexual identity in. They have a petition running, and they are organizing on a European level to promote themselves in the EU Parliament as a persecuted minority. So I have 7 minutes left, and I talk about the next subject. This was a small win. It is about gender identity ideology material in German schools provided by brands of US-American major corporations. We had a daughter of a feminist friend who brought sheets home where gender identity ideology and its vocabulary is promoted. The material is for the biology class or sexual education for children in the 6th grade as young as 11. On one sheet, it says that a girl wishes to finally get a surgery to become a boy. I translated it over there. On another sheet, they are explaining that men can be lesbians. They also promote terms like cis, demigender, or asexual. As the friend was talking to parents of other children of this class, they said nobody understands what all these terms means, but we don't care about it. The parents are not really irritated about these sheets. We researched where this material comes from and found out that there is a whole puberty topic portal provided by Always on the online platform Lehrer Online, Teacher Online. Here teachers can download material for their classes. Always is a brand for menstrual products and belongs to the American corporation Procter Gamble. Procter Gamble did a whole campaign for menstrual products of Tampax and Always with males in USA. They also promote with females on testosterone and amputated breasts for their shaving brands Gillette and Brown in USA and Germany. Jennifer Bielek analyzed that they advanced towards the promising and profitable trans market and don't mind to throw their female customers under the bus for their image as a trans-sensitive company catering the medical industrial complex. They also invested in pharmaceuticals and completed an acquisition of Merck's consumer health unit, business worth $3.8 billion. So you see, this is a great market, and this market is going in German schools. We were, in this case, successful in fighting this publication, a small win of Always, as we worked with one of the biggest conservative tabloid in Germany, the Bild-Zeitung, that even mentioned us as women's rights activists. So this is something new. They published an article about it on their online and print issue, and a video by another newspaper followed. It was also covered by television, and we generated so much media pressure that Always silently withdrew the whole publication. We are international feminists. We found out that Always also tried this in USA and Canada. In Canada, the material seems to be worse. In USA, they seem to be successful in fighting it. So as Always still has its puberty channel on Lehrer Online, I checked if they still offer similar material. I didn't find it on their channel, but discovered material from the lotion brand Dove. Dove is also promoting gender identity ideology for minor students with another publication called Proud to be Me. So you see, this is the whole program of gender identity ideology, talking about gender dysphoria, about sex is not binary, sex is a spectrum, and you have to be kind to men who say they are trans, and so on. Dove is a brand of Unilever, so I checked the diversity standards of Unilever. And diving about 10 minutes in, I found out that they offer a relationship portal about different forms of relationships and sexuality via their brand Close Up. I put the term minor attracted person in the search field, and bingo, found a lot of articles about relationships between people with a high age difference and how to tell your parents or not tell your parents. And I looked closer and found out they have a whole topic about age gap, normalizing relationships to much older men. So we have a lot of work to do. I only touched the surface. I think it's a very lot material. And we are all researching and doing some woman show in Germany. It is a lot of work to do, and we try to cooperate internationally now. We have to clean all the garbage of the international male sexual rights movement. I was unlocked on Twitter yesterday again, and while I was writing this presentation, confronted this Christopher Street Day guy again, and he blocks me now. So for now, thank you. Furious women will fight this, I think, and will win this.